So good morning, everyone. This is Gurula. It is Friday the 13th. We don't believe in superstition. So one thing to note, past performance is no guarantee of future results. So every day is brand new. So Dave, you were mentioning something about resistance before we started the recording.
No, I was talking about support.
Support.
Some of these stocks held at like their 2019 highs, 2021 highs. Like Apple at 138.80 was a, I think 138.85 was 2019 high. Amazon, same thing. I mean, I didn't look at a lot of stocks, but it was important to me that those held.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Well, I mean, this is what we talk about all the time is these algorithmic support resistance levels. So if you say it was a high in 2000 whatever, then we're marking that because we're looking at the monthly chart, and we typically will take. So if we look here on Amazon, we'll see it was a high on September, the week of September, of the month of September 2018. Also, the month of July 2019, and then again the month of January 2020. So that's a very important level, very critical level. So it makes sense that this would be a level of support. Now, it's interesting though, if it falls through here, then that could be a problem. But yeah, this support level should hold, given the fact that well, you can even count this, but 1, 2, 3 times it hit this before it broke through, and we know that it would then come back and test it at some point. So now it's coming back and it's testing this level for the first time. Now, the first time that a stock typically tests support, it is going to bounce. So again, testing resistance here, it got rejected the first time, tested it again. It took 3 times before it finally broke through. So we could get a bounce here on Amazon, a couple of them. And then the market, if it doesn't find some direction to the upside, it could break it. But yeah, I think this is a good level. Apple, same thing. So looking at Apple, so look at that. So Apple, this is a high in September of 20, also a high in February 21, also a high in June of 21, and then a low in October of 21. So this has been a critical level for Apple here. So yeah, I'm very interested to what happens. Plus, Apple is sitting on top of the 20-day EMA on the monthly chart. But 137.90 is what I have marked. So we'll see what happens here. It's going to be a very interesting day indeed. And I'm looking at Apple today, though. I'm thinking, based on what I'm seeing, Apple is going to come back possibly and test this level again here at 137.90. And the reason why I think that is I'm looking at a doji here. This is on the 4-hour chart. That signals reversal, and you've got a lot of resistance. So Apple has filled the gap already. Look, I did it here. So I'm going to take this off as a guide. And now it's hitting resistance here, a lot of it. And if we go to a 30-minute chart, again, you can see there's additional resistance here at 145.65, which we haven't even marked. I'm going to mark that 145.65. And we've got trouble here. We've got this hanging man. Now, if Apple can break this, then we will be good. But it's hit it a couple of times, but it needs to break it. And not sure if the market has it. I don't think the market has it in it today. As for the SPY, it doesn't really have any resistance other than the 5-day EMA, which is at 398.78. And it hit 398.36 in the pre-market. So if the SPY can open, and if it climbs above 398.78, I'm going to mark this 398.78. I'm going to mark this as a critical level. 398.78. And if I can learn how to use my tools, 398.78. This is the 5-day EMA daily. If it can climb above that on the open successfully, then I think we'll be okay for the day to the upside. Otherwise, I think we're gonna have a problem going to the upside today. So as I mentioned in my other account, I swung 15 SPY contracts overnight, and I'm looking at maybe getting out of those on the market open because they're going to be in profit, and I don't really want to give that back. So Tesla looks like it's going to be in a little bit of trouble today. Tesla's hitting resistance here. It had a nice move up overnight. So I'm expecting Tesla to hit this resistance and then to decline. But it made a strong move overnight. Still interested in roadblocks. And going to be looking at things hitting resistance today, just because the market has been moving down. So I fully expect it's going to gap open. This is what I'm thinking. And we're going to continue back to the downside. I don't think the move's over yet. What I've seen over the past several weeks is whatever happens on Thursday normally continues on Friday. But I'm hoping to get a strong move on SPY to the upside on the open so I can take my profit and have a really nice profitable day in my other trading account. So this 398.78 is a critical level, and the market's about to open in 1 minute. Mars, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. Good morning, Princess. How are you?
Richard, another thing I want to mention from a long-term point of view, SPY, S&P market, Dow Jones they were making, pretty significant downslides, and the VIX was doing nothing.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's a divergence. That means there's not that much fear in the market. Thus, you're seeing what's happening.
Yeah, I just I closed my SPY calls, and I closed them at market price. So in my other account, I'm actually up, based on that SPY trade, I'm up 52%. So, okay, we're going to track SPY here. Again, I'm expecting it to decline. I'm going to be really upset if I didn't stay long enough, but that's okay. I'm not going to complain about profit. I'm going to close out some of my other trades. Let's take a look at Apple. All right, so yeah, this is, I expected this move down here on Apple. Again, Apple's hitting significant resistance. And I'm looking at puts on Rivian again. I sold out of them yesterday, but looking to get back into those. So what you're hearing, I'm closing out all of my positions in my other account and getting completely into cash. All right, so let me look at SPY puts here. This is I think this Roblox move might give the best opportunity to the downside though. I'm sorry, not Roblox. I'm going to take this off my chart because that was from my other account. I'm at Rivian. Look at Apple run.
Richard, did you do anything on coin? I think you said you bought some yesterday.
Yes, I bought a spread on coin. I just closed it out. Did pretty well on that. But I just closed it out.
Oh, cool.
Coin could
Disney
be in
also,
it.
Disney hitting 100. That's important. That's a 100 for Disney is a milestone.
Yep, it's hitting resistance right now also. All right, so Apple is continuing to decline. And SPY, I'm glad I closed out of my SPY calls and took my profit on the open. Looks like coin is finding support here. I think coin is going to move down as well. It's hitting. So what I'm looking for, things that are hitting the 5-day EMA, and coin is, Apple didn't quite do it, but SPY did as well. Rivian's hitting the 20. So I'm going to take a look at SPY. That might be the trade. And who knows? I mean, the market could correct today. Dave, you see anything in your look at the put call ratio or any other indicators, what the market might give us today, upside or downside?
Well, I'm a little bit longer term, as you know, but my position would be to look at the long side on pullbacks because of what the prices that the market hit yesterday. And that's so important long term that the VIX did nothing when the SPY was falling out of bed, S&P was falling out of bed. So to me, that's a pretty clear buy signal. But that's long term.
Yeah.
Or short term.
So we do have falling VIX. All right, so we're going to let the market tell us what to do. I mean, I think that makes sense. So we're going to use our technique here, using the opening high and opening low. So looking at the SPY on a 30-minute, on the 1 hour chart, there's a hammer forming. Here. So it hit this resistance. We see the spinning tops. These are all signaling a reversal. And you got this hammer here. So I'm still sort of biased to the downside, but I've been wrong so much this week. I want to be careful in my decision making.
No, you've been great, Rich. Just take your signals. I mean, we are in a bear market. So if you see something, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I've tried to trade to the upside this week and it hasn't worked out for me. Now Pfizer is, I sold out of my Pfizer calls this morning. I should have stayed in those, but I'm going to be buying stuff in my long-term account as well later today, after the market gives me some sense of direction. So I'm going to mark the VIX, the opening. This will be the opening. So it's interesting. So here's what I suggested earlier. So this is the first candle. Ordinarily, this would be the opening high or the opening low here. But because the next candle exceeded both of those, we have to use the second candle. So we don't really know if we have an opening high or opening low yet on the VIX. If the next candle is below or above, then we have to mark it again. All right, so coin, I'm looking at maybe coin to the downside here. Let's see what we've got. The 65 call. I'm going to send that to my active trader, but let's see what the ATR is. $15 a day is the ATR on coin. It's at $66, so the $65 call is actually not unreasonable. So it looks like we're getting an upward movement on the SPY. We're going to watch this move here, given that we've got this resistance above. This ATR trailing stop. And we see that Pfizer is hitting an ATR trailing stop resistance. This is on the 4-hour time frame. So if we look at this on a 4-hour chart, we see it here. So we're going to expect a reversal here. So since this is the opening high, and this is resistance, this is going to be really strong. So we're going to keep note of that. Apple is still giving us some indecision. Coin, we're going to keep our eye on coin. Rivian is making a new high. So looking at Rivian, it doesn't really have any resistance now until the 20-day EMA at $30.49. Coming off strong off that earnings report. 30-minute chart, 1 hour. It had this consolidation here, and then, of course, it's breaking out to the upside. 4 hour, broke through a key ATR trailing stop here. Of course, this is a 4 hour chart, so this is not done yet. This candle won't close until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So it doesn't mean it's broken through yet. We just need it to close. So we'll keep our eye on Rivian and see how it handles what happened. So we don't have an opening high. Let me move this up a little bit. So it's going to be really wide, it looks like. And so SPY is going to test this resistance again. Apple just has a lot of overhead resistance. There are some other things on my list. AbbVie, we talked about that, got really rejected. So I'm going to mark this as the opening high, and this is the opening low. Etsy was another that I looked at. I liked Etsy because it was above the 5-day EMA, so $97 is where it looks like it may find some resistance. Fang, which is one of the oil and gas. ServiceNow. And Palo Alto Networks. Looking at Palo Alto on the daily chart, this to me presented a nice opportunity. You got this nice bounce here. So I'm going to add Palo Alto to the list for consideration. All right, so let's go back and take a look at where we are with all the things we're tracking. So Apple.
The first name is Morris. The last name is Green, G-R-E-E.
All right. So Apple looks like it's, again, having a tough time with this resistance. So I'm going to go to the 1 hour chart so you can get a better view of what it looks like. It's hitting this resistance here and having trouble. So again, I would trade Apple to the downside. I'm going to look to trade to the downside generally. I think what's happening is every time the market opens up like this, it's an opportunity for folk to sell out of their positions. But I'm going to be cautious and try and make a good decision. Well, Pfizer to the downside, I sold out of my position by their account, so that was good. Rivian. So Rivian hit a high here of $27.98, $28. And the low for Rivian today was 26.17, 26.17 plus the ATR 363. So 29.80 is where it would top out on the ATR. But we may present an opportunity for Rivian to the downside, which is what I really would like to do. But there's a lot of support. So Rivian has support at 25.41, which is what a 5-day EMA is. So I'm looking for things that are getting rejected. And Rivian hasn't quite gotten to its 20-day EMA, which is $30.45. So we want to buy it off of that rejection. SPY is going to probably give us the best opportunity, I think, to the downside, because SPY is getting rejected off the 5-day EMA at 398.19. And it hit a high of 397.97. So it's right near that point. So going to be looking at SPY to the downside. And the VIX is about to hit support, so that's really important. This is a key area to watch on VIX. If you look at it on the daily chart, not only has support here at this algorithmic level, but the 20-day EMA also. And the one thing to note about long candles, so long candles, the middle of the candle is support. So I'm going to take this long green candle here, and I'm going to look at the high, which is 33.20, 33.20 is the high, minus the low, which is 25.78. That gives me 742. I'm going to divide that by 2. And I'm going to add that, so that is 371. I'm going to add that to the low, 25.78. That gives me 29.49. So that tells me that at 29.49, there's going to be support by this long candle. So 29.49, 29.49. I'm going to call this long candle support. I want to make it really thick. And I'm going to make it blue. And that's where it is. So this is support here by this long candle, support by this 20-day EMA, support by this algorithmic level here. So I fully expect, based on all of this support, that the VIX will decline, but it will find support in this area here. And then it should reverse to the upside. When that happens, then we're expecting the market to decline, or at least the SPY, and maybe the market overall. All right, so SPY is again testing this resistance. Again, remember the 5-day EMA on the SPY is at 398.41. 398.41. So we'd be really careful here in our trade to the upside, because that overhead resistance could be a problem. All right, looking at Apple, Apple could run to 147.87, which is where the 5-day EMA is. There's also an ATR trailing stop on the daily, which is on the weekly, which is up here. And it correlates with the 5-day EMA on Apple. So 147.43, 147.87, so 147.50 could be a target for Apple today. Coinbase is consolidating, so we would stay away from it until it makes a decision what to do. Palo Alto, I like Palo Alto to the upside. So looking at this chart on Palo Alto, we go back for a year. See, this has been in place for a while. But there is a gap here to the downside. Pfizer. Rivian, we need Rivian again closer to the $32 mark. All right, the SPY is broken through, so we can trade SPY to the upside possibly once it gets above 33.98.54. We wanted to come back and test support before we enter a trade on SPY. And Apple still has a lot of resistance to get through. I'm going to go ahead and buy at least one contract on Apple and try to be in this and out of it fairly quickly. So I'm gonna go to a 2-minute chart.
You buying a put or a call, Richard?
Looking at a call, not planning on being in it very long. So this is going to be, a scalp essentially. So looking at taking Apple up to 145.65 and watching it to see what it does with that resistance. And it looks like SPY is about to hit the 5-day EMA. So I'm expecting SPY to actually reverse up here. And it looks like the VIX is hitting support. All right, so I want to take my Apple profit as soon as I can. And it may not be there. So I'm going to make this my stop here. My 145.07 is going to be my stop loss. If we close below that, then I'm going to exit Apple. And we have, all right, so we closed above. So now this is support. Well, again, trying to take Apple to 145.65. So that's not a very large move, a very big move. And we're getting this weakness. So I'm going to have to make a decision what to do. I'm going to wait for this candle to close. If it closes below 145.07, I'm going to be out of this trade. Because again, what we're looking at is the VIX here on this support level. And we've got the SPY on the 5-day EMA. So this is a critical area of resistance. And that's going to help us determine what our day is going to be like. All right, I'm going to be out of this Apple trade. I just hit 13% on my loss on that one trade for Apple. I'm going to go back to SPY. And I'm going to wait for this candle to close, but I'm really looking at taking SPY to the downside. Coin. This would be a downside trade. It might be the better trade given you see the struggle The 5-day EMA is at 71.44. It hit 71.30. But I will wait for it to break through this opening low, because right now it's simply a consolidation. SPY may find support here, and let's see what Apple is doing. Apple is still struggling. And the VIX is holding on support. So we have our mark here at 29.72. The low for the VIX is 29.73. So again, we draw these algorithmic support and resistance levels using our eyes, and they work. I mean, they're fairly accurate. So, all right, so we may get a trade on coin here. I think this is going to be the best trade today. Still going with the $65 put on coin. And we break this opening low, then I'm going to go ahead and enter the trade to the downside. But we would wait for a close. So going back to Apple, that was a smart decision to exit that trade. We got out quickly. Going back to SPY. Again, it's having trouble here at the 5-day EMA. And the SPY may be because of the premium. Well, actually, the premiums on coin are pretty good as well. And coin moves $15 a day, so. We have less than a minute on this candle to close. If we get a close at or below the opening low, and then we get a red candle that moves below that, below the opening low, then we're going to make our entry. And we're looking at a $65 put on coin. Let's see what the VIX is doing. It's still holding, so the VIX is falling below right now this resistance. We'll see if in fact that happens. And we should see some reaction in the other parts of the market. So SPY, based on that falling VIX, looks like it's trying to find support. So we've got a lot of volatility still, obviously. So coin did not fall through. The VIX is falling through to the bottom. But again, we've got lots of support down here. Here's a long candle support for the VIX. And if we look at VIX on a daily, we've got the 20-day EMA. So this would be a concern. All right, we could have hit our target possibly on Apple. Looks like it's trying to move back to the upside. Pfizer hit that resistance and just got rejected. So what Pfizer hit was a 50-day EMA on the daily here. Rivian may not get to $30 today. All right, so we have a consolidation on SPY is what we have. All right, I'm still looking at coin to the downside. If we get a doji here or a spinning top and the next candle is red, I'm going to make this entry because that will signal a continuation to the downside. Three minutes on this candle to close. And Dave, you may be right. So I could have actually stayed in my SPY calls and I would have made lots of money off those today. I sold them early. It was a nice gain, but looks like SPY is going to at least make a new high. 399.60. That doesn't mean that this 5-day EMA is not going to hold. Palo Alto could be a nice trade to the upside, but I'm very concerned about trading to the upside today. Rivian and coin. So now we have the VIX at this long candle support level here. And as you can see, it does work because it hit it and then it bounced. So the way you determine long candle support is it needs to be a long candle, obviously. And then what you do is this is a long candle. So is this one. So is this one. So is this one. And the middle of these candles are typically support and resistance. So you would take the high of the candle minus the low and subtract it. That gives you a number. And then you can add that number to the low or subtract it from the high, gives you another number. That gives you your support. So if we look at this on a 5-minute, this is a long candle support. And we see we've got a bounce here on the VIX. So I'm going to go back to my coin and see if it's fallen through yet. It hasn't yet, but looks like it's going to. And this is, again, going to be my trade, I believe, for today, because coin is probably the one stock that has, all right, so here we go. I think coin is the one stock that no matter what the market does, it is likely to decline. And if the market declines, it's likely to accelerate to the downside. So that's why I chose coin. As you know, it had a huge drop from, let's see where it was. So it fell from $70 all the way down to 40 based on earnings. And then it recovered some yesterday. But then when it gapped open, it hit this 5-day EMA. So again, like to buy things that are getting rejected off the 5-day or that are finding support. So I should say rejected off of resistance or finding support, bouncing off of support. Now we're going to stay in this trade because I think that this is going to eventually be the way that the market's going to move. That could change, but even if it doesn't, I think coin is going to move down and we can take our profit if the market turns. I want to see the 5-day cross to 50 here to the downside on this 5-minute chart. We hit our target on Apple if we've simply stayed. But we're looking to protect our capital. Palo Alto looks like a nice move to the upside. And I may actually just get that in my other account. Pfizer's making a nice move to the downside. Looks like it may find support here at this ATR trailing stop. We're going to mark that on Pfizer. That way we can see it on a 5-minute chart. All right, so Apple hit that target, which this is where we would have sold had we stayed in the trade. Palo Alto is consolidating along the opening high. Rivian has found some support. We really like for it to hit $30.40. Otherwise, it could decline back to 28, 25, 24 and find support. We'll see what's going to happen with the SPY. Maybe it finds support here and continues climbing. SPY is currently up almost 2% for the day. The VIX is holding on support right now. Going to stay in this Coinbase trade. And we would look to exit if, in fact, we get a close above 70.05, or if the candle actually breaches at 70.05, we have to consider getting out. So looking at SPY on the daily chart, get rid of all of this stuff so we can see. Again, anticipating the SPY to get rejected here at this 5-day EMA and then decline. This is a similar thing that happened here and here and here. So we'll see if in fact that indeed holds, because it did gap open, and that's the reason why we're anticipating this rejection. Apple again could climb to 140, 148 thereabouts before it has any trouble today. And going back to SPY, going to mark that opening high and low again. So if SPY comes back and finds support here on the decline, we will look to enter again. So David, your theory is working. I mean, based on what you said, because of such a sharp decline, looks like the market's trying to make up for it today. So we're seeing something here on SPY that gives us some indication that we're going to get a reversal. We've got a doji. This candle hasn't closed yet, but we're going to watch it carefully. Looking at the VIX, we have a doji. Apple seems to be making this move to the upside still. And again, confident in the coin trade to the downside. I really like Palo Alto. to the upside.
Richard, I see 150 on Apple, I mean, pretty easily. So I don't know when, but if you probably could buy those pretty cheaply.
Okay. So Palo Alto hit a low today of 485, and it moves $31 a day. So 515 could be a target. 510 is where the 200-day EMA is. And let's go back to the SPY. All right, so we've got about a minute and 40 seconds before this candle closes, but we're seeing the weakness here. Similar on Apple. All right, my coin trade looks good. Rivian looks good to the downside. I'm keeping a careful eye on Rivian, and this would be a purchase on a different account, but I'm looking for Rivian to fall below this support level. There's a lot of support here. If it breaks this opening low, then that's going to be a good signal to take it to the downside. I do like this coin trade. All right, so looking at SPY, spinning top, spinning top. So we're looking at, again, topping out here on SPY. This just may be, again, an opportunity for folks to sell at the top. Looking at the VIX. So remember, we drew this long candle support here. So if the VIX holds here, you've got not only that support, but you've got the 20-day EMA. So if the VIX falls through this 20-day EMA, all bets are off on downside moves. But so far, it looks like it's holding. Apple still looks good to the upside. Coin still looks good to the downside. All right, so Pfizer, we pointed out this ATR trailing stop. It hit it, and it's now moving back to the upside. Or at least it looks like it might. SPY is struggling here. So this looks like a top. And again, the 5-day EMA is at 399.13. So let me mark that 399.13. That's on the daily. So that would be where support would be, possibly. Apple is struggling with this ATR on the 30-minute chart. So let's take a look at Apple. That's some different time frames. So we're looking for a reversal. That seems clear. Hanging man, doji, spinning top, hanging man, doji. So again, that screams reversal with all of the resistance. So I do see, and then given that this is a spinning top, if this candle is red today, then Apple's going to keep declining. This could be a nice trade to the downside. Coin is consolidating. I ended up trading right into a consolidation, which was not my plan. All right, so spinning top. So if the SPY falls below the 5-day EMA here on the 5-minute chart, that could signal for us a nice downside move. Rivian. All right, so the SPY is trying to find some support or build some support in this consolidation for a continued move up. There's an ATR trailing stop on the 4-hour that is all the way up here at 408. That would be a really strong move by SPY at the 408. But it looks like it's going to make that move to the upside. And so does Apple. All right, so it's like Pfizer has found support. So I like the way Pfizer looks here. And I would go long on Pfizer, given that it found support here and it's been consolidating here. So this looks like it could be a breakout up to about 53.87. So Pfizer would be a nice trade with some time. And I think I'm going to take that trade. All right, so this was in a different account. All right, so going back to Apple. All right, so the VIX has fallen through. And let's check on my Coinbase trade. All right, so I'm going to have to exit this one as well. And I may be actually getting out too early, but as in this consolidation, don't really want to get caught. I had this as my stop, so I'm just going to wait. I've not made good choices today. and looks like everything is moving to the upside. So I'm going to wait. I'm not going to make another trade probably until around 11 or so. Give the market a chance to, again, exhaust itself, and then look to trade to the downside. So this, I am going to take an Apple trade to the downside, Dave. I think I'm going to wait though until it gets to that target we talked about. So around 148, and then I'll look to trade it down. For SPY, SPY could find support here above the 5-day EMA. There's not a lot, the thing is, there's not a lot of volume on this move. So if we look at this very long candle, there's no volume to support it. So I'm not so sure if that's going to hold. Apple is still moving up. I do like Coinbase to the upside. I'm sorry, Palo Alto. Rivian, Apple, strong move to the upside. Good call on that, David.
Yeah, again, it diverged yesterday, and the VIX hasn't been doing anything for a long time, so that's a pretty clear buy signal.
I obviously sold out of my SPY calls way early. I could have made a mint off those because I sold out on the open down here at 396. And even though I made a nice bit of change on the swing, that would have been 396 to 401. I had 15 of those. They were at that point in the money. So it's another, what, $5? 15 times 500. That would have been a nice piece of change. So Apple is approaching some key resistance here. If we look at the 4-hour, let me go to we have an ATR trailing stop on the weekly, one here on the 1-hour, and then the 20-day EMA coming down. So this is going to be a critical juncture here. So that it could hit that 148. What is your target on Apple, David?
Well, long term a lot higher, but near term 150.
Okay, all right. And are you expecting it to then go back down, or you expect it will continue to climb?
Well, I think it'll get rejected at 150 short term, but longer term, yeah, I think it'll make new high.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. So the key here is this doji. So given what's happening, the spinning top, this is a good signal here. that Apple may be reversing or may have reversed. And especially on, I think the SPY had a clear, well, the SPY has good support here for a continued run to the upside. I think the SPY will come back now and find support here above, and 400 has been a key level for the SPY. So it could find support at 399.51 and close above that today. And this is what we have here. So once the SPY comes back, we will look for an entry to see if there is an entry, as long as it stays above this 5-day EMA, and it may have moved higher now. So 399.61 is where it is currently. And it's just screaming to the upside. All right, Pfizer's hitting its opening low. Palo Alto Networks is struggling. Apple, Rivian. Rivian appears to be in a consolidation. And SPY is still climbing. So give me just one. All right, so we have a signal here on SPY. It looks like a shooting star. So we're looking at some weakness. That 400 level has been a critical area for SPY. And looking at the VIX. So right now the VIX is sitting on that It's just below the 20-day EMA. So if it's going to hold, it would hold here. And if it does, then we could see that movement in the SPY. Which so far looks really strong. I expected this to continue to move up, but it actually fell through here to the downside. Looks like Pfizer is going to continue moving to the upside. Needs to break through this opening low. Apple could find support here and then continue its move to the upside. And right now we're not in any positions. Just kind of trying to see what's going to happen with this market. Rivian still looks weak. Coinbase is approaching this area that we looked at earlier on the 8-year trailing stop. The VIX will have trouble here at 29.37. If it does, then we expect it to continue to decline. If not, if it finds the strength to get above it, then we will see a reversal in the market. We should. So Coinbase is going back to the 5-day EMA, which is 72.20. It looks like. Again, this consolidation is a bit of a concern on Rivian. It's going to break out one way or the other to the up or downside. So we're just going to mark this here. Actually, I'm going to mark it using the body of the candles. Keep our eye on that. SPY is finding continued strength to the upside. So let's take a look at Tesla. We had talked about Tesla earlier, and Tesla's making a nice move up as well. So Tesla on the 5-day EMA is going to hit it right here at 777.30. I'm going to mark this 777.30. $777.3. 5-day EMA on Tesla. The date. Let's add it to our list and look at it on a 5-minute. All right, so the VIX is climbing back above here. Coinbase is hitting this resistance. Palo Alto is climbing again. Pfizer is looking to try and find support. Rivian is still in consolidation. SPY is showing some weakness. here's where we might want to trade SPY to the downside. Going to give it a little bit of time. Tesla's making a strong move up to test that 5-day EMA. The VIX may get rejected here. We don't have any serious conviction as of yet. Apple is finding support on the 5-day EMA. We may get back into our coin trade based on this rejection here. All right, so looking at the VIX is, comfortably above support here. All right, so let's look at SPY. We have a spinning top, but the VIX is getting rejected here at the 5-day EMA. So we don't have any real conviction yet. Apple is still showing strength to the upside. And we're at 1040 and not really able to make any conclusions here because we're going to trade. Again, we're going to trade one way or the other and then reverse. So we're looking to trade to the downside. And if we see a reversal, then we would trade to the upside. So looking at SPY, I'm going to go ahead and take a trade on SPY to the downside. I'm buying the 400 put for SPY. And I'm going to trade that to the downside. And if SPY finds support, then I would look to exit that and then buy a call. But I'm fully expecting that the SPY is going to get rejected here at the 5-day EMA. Here, because of this gap up. And looking at the VIX is going to find support here on the 20-day long candle support and this algorithmic support resistance level. So it is currently 1040. And my plan would be to keep you guys posted. And in my other account, I think I may actually end up trading coin to the downside as well. Looks like a nice entry at this point. So any questions?
Thanks, Richard. So you're in SPY puts. You'll keep us updated by text, right?
Yes, I'm at a $400 SPY put.
Okay.
And I don't really see any real trouble for SPY. I will look to trade it down to 399.61 and then look to decide what to do.
Okay. Thanks.
At that juncture. So currently it's positive. I hope it stays that way. And looking at the VIX is climbing. So I'm expecting the VIX to have possible trouble here, but if it breaks through, then my trade is going to be good. But this could be just a very short trade on SPY.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right. Hope you guys have a great morning and happy trading.